It was my dear friend Zev Kessin's yahrzeit a few days ago, so I wanted to make a little memorial speech in his memory to bring him back to life, if just for a moment. First of all, the first thing you remember about Zev is that he had a boisterous laugh. I've been trying for a while to copy it so I'd be able to do it for the video, and I can't get it. And nobody can get Zev's laugh the way he laughed. Like, all the way deep from inside his belly. There was nothing like it in the world. And he had special things that he would say to the people he loved the most. Like in my example, he would say, "Buddy, I love ya." But he had a way of saying it like nobody else did. Since Zev passed away, I finally understand a saying I've heard older people say, that at a certain point in your life, when you lose enough people, you're living like you have one leg in the grave. And although I feel, thank God, very much alive and very much focused in this world, but I understand it. I've lost other friends. Zev was a tremendous loss for me, and it's a very painful experience. Zev was a very interesting person. He was somebody that needed nothing and everything at the same time. Sometimes you felt overwhelmed, like he needed everything, and sometimes you realized that he needed absolutely nothing. He really was able to exist and accomplish with very minimal. I always give the example how a Rav needs a shul or a yeshiva, and Zev was somebody that just needed a pizza store or just a place where people were, and he would be able to make people so happy. He would be able to give such unbelievable depth into concepts and ideas. It was truly an unbelievable thing. Being with Zev was like being with Popeye. Sometimes he had tremendous strength and ability, and his wisdom and his thought processes were going a mile a moment. And then he would say, "Ari, I need to close my eyes for a moment." And that was it. You knew that you lost him while you're driving or wherever for half hour or 45 minutes, but he needed to regenerate his energy. His faith, his relationship with Hashem was so real and tangible, even to me or anyone watching, we could feel it. Man, he would give it to Hashem sometimes, but he was happy, just upset, like when enjoying delicious food and you bite your tongue. But with him, whenever he was enjoying delicious food, he was biting his tongue. He had a problem with his facial structure and his teeth, and it was so frustrating to him. Zev loved a good meal, and the frustration, it drove him nuts. But man, was he a happy person. He was so happy. He enjoyed everything to its fullest ability. Eating a good meal, a great conversation. Even we would go to, sometimes, very rarely, but we would go to play blackjack. And I think that if somebody would go to a casino with him and watch him play blackjack, they would have a really good understanding who Zev Kessin was. Because he was the kind of person you would hate at first. Like, what's he doing? He's staying on this number and he's betting on that number. But at closer focus, you realize he went to a table first. It was his table. You want to join him, fine. But you can't bother him with the rules. Zev didn't live with the rules. Zev lived with this feeling and spirituality, and it came through everything, and he enjoyed it to such a depth. It was comical. And he was right sometimes, and when he was, boy, did he get a kick out of it. If he would hit a 17 and he'd get a 4, it was like he moved mountains in his head. He had such a simchas achayim for the simplest things, which he thought were actually very high things. He taught me to love. He taught me to hug, to feel my surroundings in a proper, healthy, nurturing way, to understand how to hold what he called my own mojo, as he called it. Even against him, he would want me to stand my ground and understand my position on a thing. We were alike in our interests. He always laughed that he lived vicariously through me, but we were very different. As he said, we were brothers, literal brothers. We were the closest I think two people can be in this world. He was always wondering how I got stuff done, as his clock never had enough time. He'd suggest I do something, and I'd have completed planning or even at times actually doing it before he finished his opinion. He'd laugh so hard. Buddy, I love ya. He'd buy me gifts if he saw something he knew I liked, like a big brother in our mid-40s. I wore my heart on my sleeve. He was super private. He had compartments in his life. That's just how he liked it. But we were both truly happy and we truly loved each other like brothers should. I asked him, I started a Dvar Torah group a few years ago. I asked him his opinion on it. I got him to listen to a few Dvar Torahs, and he was very focused on one detail. He said, it has to be upbeat. He didn't like any Divrei Torah that had any fear or negativity in it. He just wanted me to make Divrei Torah that were upbeat and happy. That was his one and only piece of advice, and he was very passionate about it. I once called him my Rebbe. He loved it. He referred back to it a couple of times, that he really liked that he was my Rebbe. The thing about Zev is that people think he only loved, but that's not true. He had a passion. If he was upset about something, he would be very clear about it. There wasn't very many things that upset him, though. It was mostly about messed up food. If he went to a restaurant and I told him, oh boy, you're gonna love this place, and he didn't like it, it frustrated him. Why can't they make it the right way? He had such a passion for good food and for people that hurt people in his life that he cared about very much, namely Debbie and Lahavdul Bain Mavis Lachai, myself. It was his pain to carry and to share. He expected from no one except me. He knew we both gained and that I grew from it, and it was a very, very good deal for me. He was an idealist with limitations, living in a real world, and he made it work. And as I said, the two things he wanted Debbie and my family issues to work themselves out and to rebuild. And he was so pure, he couldn't handle what he saw as injustices, and they drove him mad. And that was something that was very, very important to him. Other than that, bad food and our situations, he truly was a super, super happy, motivational, exciting person to be around. The two last things I'd like to end off with is, first of all, number one, he loved to give brachas on his birthday. It was his favorite thing in the world. And I tried it in his memory a few months ago, and I got a little bit of a kick out of it, but I understood that if I took it up a notch and I did it the way he did it, I would have enjoyed it more. But he was just such a giver from all different levels. He loved it. And he loved that he had this power that he truly believed in, this superpower that he could use on his birthday to make things happen for people. It was the biggest joy for him. The last thing that I'd like to end off, and I say this as humbly as possible, if anyone wants to ask me anything, if they have any guilt or any curiosity, as we know, and I said, Zev was a very private person. In the end, though, he completely opened up to me. And I'd be happy to share if it will bring simcha or peace to anyone that is curious, as I know that that's all he ever wanted, was for people to have happiness in their life. And so since I was granted this opportunity, and I know how difficult and challenging it was to be able to understand the thing from him that he didn't want you to understand, I am more than willing to share what I know on whatever I know. Thank you very, very much for listening to this video. My intentions are truly and only that Zev should go from one level in heaven to the next level in heaven, and he should enjoy all the simcha and joy that we all know he deserves. He had a very difficult time, and even with his difficult time, he used every opportunity he could to do good, and Hashem knows that. He understands that better than any of us could possibly. And Eretz Hashem, we will be reunited one day, all of us. But until that point, I really wish a great bracha that Zev should have the greatest and deepest and most amazing of heavenly experiences while he waits. Thank you very much. Be well.